Just Cause is an open-world series of games developed by Avalanche Studios. It's a series that started out in 2006, chasing the open-world trend of the one and only GTA. But unlike GTA, Just Cause focuses on making the world burn in mayhem and chaos. Just Cause is seen as more of an over-the-top action GTA clone than your typical clone. With the use of unlimited grappling and parachuting as Just Cause's trademark way of traversal, Just Cause was unique, but due to the presentation of the first game, with very outdated visuals and poorly animated in-engine cutscenes, the game kind of flew under the radar. Although Just Cause did make a name for itself as having one of the biggest open worlds in the industry, with a whopping 1,024 square kilometers. Just Cause 2 expanded on the original game, with a much more memorable story, better gameplay and visuals, and a much more varied open world, consisting of 3 different biomes: snowlands, greenlands, consisting of jungles and cities, and deserts. Just Cause 2 also had a lot of side content, faction missions and side quests, and a chaos system. Just Cause 3 added more mobility and verticality within its traversal, with a wingsuit which the game basically encourages over vehicles. Now we get to Just Cause 4. Just Cause 4 to a lot of people is a massive downgrade in quality, visuals, and art direction. And yes, that is true in some cases. Graphically, the game looks worse, attention to detail scaled down, character design can be horrific, especially to the civilians, and the lighting literally makes characters' hair glow. The story is different this time around. The previous 3 games always revolved around a government dictator taking control of different islands. The first one being Salvador Mendoza, taking over San Espirito. Second one being Pandak Panay, also known as Baby Panay, who was one of the most popular in the series, taking over Panau. Third one, who is by far my favorite antagonist in the series, being the one and only General Sebastiano di Ravella, taking over Medici. In Just Cause 4, it's different. Instead of the villain fully taking over the island, he's working on a project, a weapon that can control the weather of the island Solis, run by Oscar Espinosa. Now I'll get into the story later, but in terms of what's new in Just Cause 4, not much. I mean, you can activate a blizzard storm, a regular storm, and a tornado like you freaking Cole McGrath from Infamous, but that's pretty much it, alongside useless upgrades for your grappling hook unless you're a stuntman in the game and trying to do challenges. One thing I left out was customization. You can change outfits and skins for your wingsuit and parachute by doing challenges and certain activities. Now let's get into some of the problems, starting with the story. I appreciate the game having a different story and referencing previous events, but the pacing and absence of characters is what tears the narrative apart. For example, one of the antagonists that has been advertised the most, that I was really looking forward to, Gabriela Morales, is barely in the game. She's there for like 3 scenes, and the last scene she just disappears with no explanation. A 78-hour campaign and she's only in 8 minutes worth of it. She has no effect in the story whatsoever. We hardly know anything about her in the game, except that she is the cousin of one of the side protagonists, Mira Morales. I had to search up her backstory through a trailer and the internet, and here's what it says. She used to live in fear of having everything she ever loved taken away from her. But at some point in her life, she wanted to overcome her fear. She believes that Rico, the main protagonist, was part of the campaign that killed her mother, which is used to motivate her for getting her revenge on him. The rest on screen you can read for yourself. Now the second thing that tears apart the narrative is the pacing. After doing a certain amount of main story missions, you have to do these repetitive base liberation missions, clearing out bases in order to continue. The problem with these is that they take forever to complete only one story mission. I see this as the most repetitive filler in an open world campaign, and since they're replacing Just Cause 3's repetitive, open-ended sandbox base liberation missions, they replaced it for linear and repetitive missions. Therefore, it messes up the pacing of the narrative. From Just Cause 3 on, progression has been very lackluster. Ever since skill trees became popularized, Just Cause tried to emulate skill trees as a form of gameplay progression. And let me tell you, it's the most underwhelming progression to ever exist in an open world game. You unlock upgrades for your grappling hook for 3 different grappling mods: Retractor, Airlifter, which are the balloon mods that you see, and Booster mods. Now these mods are fine, but the upgrades that come with them are unnecessary. Unless you're not doing challenges or stunts, do you really need to increase your burnout time for your boosters, increase the effect of your power yank for your retractor, or adjust your peak altitude for your airlift balloon. No! Same thing goes for unlocking new vehicles. The game encourages you to explore and traverse the map via your wingsuit, grappling hook, and parachute. Heck, the game is even so generous to have so many fast travel points. So what's the point of unlocking SUVs, limos, a bus, or a freaking pickup truck? Let's take the industrial vehicles for example. What's the point of using a tractor? What's the point of using a bloody forklift if you got your grapple? What are you gonna do with an Armadillo 9M? This is like school, except you have to study geometry, but when in life are you gonna use it? Even for people who do their own stunts in this game, this is unnecessary, pretty underwhelming. I hate to say this, but Just Cause 4 is basically the definition of a boring open world game, besides Mafia 3. Once you complete the story and side missions, you're left with the most tedious side challenges. They're better than Just Cause 3's challenges, which were absolute hell to play through, and in fact they caused me to take a 3-month hiatus of not playing any open world game. I was burnt out after playing these things. But Just Cause 4 takes a more open formula to these challenges. They take place in the free roam and are thankfully shorter with no gear system. There are two types of challenges that return from Just Cause 3. The wingsuit challenges and the racing challenges, but in a different form. Wingsuit challenges don't consist of rings with layers, but just normal rings to fly through, consisting of 3 to 4 rings spread out pretty well. The racing challenges consisted of one ring when you need to drive a specific vehicle through the ring, and another challenge like it that gives you freedom of choice with whatever vehicle you'd like, except at a certain speed limit. These sound cool, but there are about more than 430 of these, precisely 436. If you're a completionist like me, this is a nightmare. It's tedious as hell, and thank God they're short. Other challenges consist of destroying 24 of these balloon ship thingies and finding 12 tombs. The tombs are definitely my favorite. The reason is that it encourages you to explore the map. The problem with big maps like Just Cause is that they can be so empty and towns and cities look repetitive with no character to something like Infamous and Infamous 2. Therefore you just want to fast travel to locations, but the open world just be in a background. Now there are finally side missions which were missing from Just Cause 3. If you play Just Cause 2's faction missions, you're gonna like most of the missions that this game has to offer. The worst side missions definitely have to be the ones given by one of the characters in the story, Sargento. These side missions are as repetitive as that Oh Yeah Yeah song. Another side character, Garland, has missions that remind me of Infamous 2's missions. They are entertaining and fun to play through. The only downside about these missions is that there are very little of them. There are only 6 missions that Garland and another character have, which are the only good side missions in the game. There are also encounter missions that return, some from Just Cause 3. Actually, if I think about it, a lot from Just Cause 3, just expanded upon. All the encounter missions consist of making it look like an accident, which is pretty popular in the Just Cause series, crate delivery, which encourages different ways of delivering it, expanding upon the sandbox, delivering vehicles, getting vehicles ready for camera or getting the vehicle to the spot as clean as possible, delivering intel that you'll never know about, and car chasing another vehicle with the black hand chasing you, and a few other more. Due to the trash progression, these cool encounters reward basically nothing. There are a huge variety of encounters and it's a shame they're for nothing, but they're entertaining overall. A few things I forgot to mention is the squad frontline feature. It's a new way to liberate parts of the island, and it's cool to see your allies fight it out with the black hand. It's nice to cut out all that repetitive fat that Just Cause 3 had, but it sucks you can't re-oppress bases like before. It's kind of hit or miss, but it is what it is. And may I just say again that Just Cause 4's map is so empty and repetitive and has very little to no character. There are these small brief backstory for each of the areas, but they don't show visually like Infamous or the Arkham series. I'd rather prefer a map that is fun to traverse than an empty map. As much as I love open world sandboxes where I can explore and progress at my own pace, I'd still like something to do in these sandboxes, like preset missions and objectives, side missions, and just the right tools to create your own fun. The tools given are there to be unlocked, but there's no reason to care or use them. Unlocking vehicles, for example. Vehicles like cars are a minor prop. You can't customize them or tweak them. They're just there for the sake of being there. I'll talk about the conflict system in this game, but that's a video for another time. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more video essays like these, consider subscribing, liking, giving me feedback, and saving the video essays playlists, so then you don't miss a single episode of when I do these. Now I hope everybody has a good day or night or whatever time it is there, and I hope to see you guys in the next video or stream, and take care.